Before washing hands for bread, a person must be careful to inspect the hands, see that they are clean, without any chatzitza. If there is dirt under the nails, then that's considered a chatzitza, so clean them out. He also has to be sure to remove the ring, especially women who wash the hands of bread. Many times should be careful to remove the rings. They have to be careful twice. Remove the ring, and then don't forget to take it when you finish washing. Sometimes they forget. This happens so often. A lot of rings are floating around somewhere. So, any kind of chatzitza at all that separates the fingers and hands from the water is spoiled, makes possible the washing of the hands. A person whose hands are stained, he was writing, he had ink on his hands. The old days when the ink used to flow, fountain pens used to drip, flow. So, what's the whole point? The write dry, in fact, so dry you can't get any out of it. If that stain of the ink, whatever stain he has, he's a worker, he works with, so he kind of dies. If that stain has been washed off, just the remains, a discoloration in the skin itself, it's not considered chatzitza. But if there is actual dye on the hands, on the surface, even though it's a tiny bit, it's still considered chatzitza, because it's a person is particular. He may not be particular about the discoloration, he's particular about the extra bit of paint dye on his hands. If he is a tradesman, that's his trade, he works in paint, he's a painter and tradesman of those things, then, or let's say he's a butcher who handles meat, his hands get discolored with blood, or he's a writer, a sefer, who writes Sefer, his hands are always soiled with ink. If he's accustomed to it, any tradesman like that, electrician, let's say, is used to using plaster on his hands, that's not considered a chatzitza unless it covers the majority of the hand. And if it covers the less than half, or even half of this culture, that's if it's on the surface. If it's absorbed into the skin, it's no problem at all. A person has a wound, cut, and on this cut he has a bandage on his hand. This bandage, of course, separates the hand from the water. Especially if you get a band-aid that's waterproof. The band-aid covers a cut. If that wound is actually an open cut of a wound, you need the band-aid as a therapeutic reason, or for protective reasons, protecting against any abrasion. Then the band-aid or bandage is not considered a chatzitza at all, because he will not remove that bandage during the food, we're sure of that. So what are we afraid of? That the hand might touch the food. In this case, the part that's covered with this bandage will not touch the food at all. There's no question of the bandage being a chatzitza. This is a very big finish, because the average person thinks and would be justified in thinking that literally a band-aid is the greatest chatzitza possible. Any drop of dust is a chatzitza, surely a band-aid is. It's a very big finish to say that the band-aid becomes bottle, because it is definitely part of the head. It's a necessity. Now, before going into the different types of water, better as washing is done, it's important to note the exact order of the bracha. As we said, the bracha is said after you wash your hands, before you dry them. With this, the person is covered, and then he's saying the bracha before doing the mitzvah, because the mitzvah is not just washing, but also drying the hands. He's saying the bracha after washing, before drying, he's covered with that. Now, when he says he washes his hands, he rubs his hands together, he raises them, the hands point up, and the fingers point up and not down. They hold them straight down by his side, so when he goes to look for a towel, the waters drift down, they make the top water makes the waters of the hand tussle, and the whole thing is vague. So that's why when you wash your hands before the bracha, it is customary to say, you can find out in the siddur. Some siddur don't have it. It's good to learn it by heart. Get used to it. You start when you're old, then you have no trouble later years because you sort of memorize it after 10 or 20 years. It's just a couple of sentences. Then after that you say the bracha of Tikuney Zohar. Then you wipe your hands. Then we come to a big shayla, which instead is semi-resolved. We used to call this shayla is in Shulchan. This custom is imposed in the Shulchan. For many years I had, I wouldn't say real doubts, but I was sort of afraid to reveal what I was doing. Because after saying the bracha of Tikuney Zohar, like I better not say it, so you know, I do it here. There's certain thing I used to say, which I saw it in my house, a child, which I found differently. Later years I found that Tikuney Zohar should have said, you do it, it's again. I think you say it's on Kurdish, and on Tikuney Zohar, and the drying of the hands is done after the bracha is said. Then, of course, we'll come to the balance of the bracha. There's nothing to be allied to pay back any debts that we owe. Paying back a debt that we owe is we owe heaven, Hashem, a debt. Hashem said this here, fulfill our obligations. An obligation is a debt. That's why it's chayiv on the Yachtil. Chayiv is obligated. He owes a debt on the Yachtil. Shmina Shabbos. All the mitzvahs is chayiv. Observe it to me. Allah, chayiv to pay. Fill all these mitzvahs with ahava, and thereby be zechet to the bias saying the water has to come upon a person's hands with human power. Koyach Gavana, it's called. Koyach Gavana, power of a person, and not an animal, behemoth. So you got to be careful who you let wash your hands for you. Careful which lady does it. But if the water comes by itself, without Koyach Gavana, stream, a flow of water, it is not considered until it's done. Therefore, you have a barrel with a faucet, and you take off the faucet, you remove the plug, let's say, from the bottom of the barrel. The water keeps flowing out of the barrel. That's nothing, because it's worth nothing as far as washing hands. It's twists the flow until the barrel is empty. But when you pull the plug out, and the water comes out of the barrel, the first flow that comes out is considered koyach gavana, because you caused that first drop, first amount. Now, on the same token, we would say today's faucets, you turn it on, and you have your hand in the water, so the first drop that comes out is to be considered koyach gavana. And at the same time, koyach gavana means it has to have the water that comes out to wash your hands to wash the whole hand should be koyach gavana. It means that when you turn the water on, the faucet is very narrow, very tiny faucet. Turn it on, the water that comes out would not be enough to cover a whole hand. So you notice in one spurt, it would be a wide faucet, a wide spout, opening, but the water comes out at one time. So that's why faucets are very dangerous, because you have to be able to measure up and see that the first opening of the faucet, the very first second, a burst of water comes out, enough to cover, let's say, to fill up a glass of 5 ounces, which is pretty rough, pretty rare. Now, then is it back to the halacha of washing hands for eating. You cannot eat bread without washing hands. Of course, cake also, if you eat a lot of cake, some people eat as much cake as is required, washing hands and saying a mitzvah. But normally, speaking about eating bread, a person cannot eat bread without washing hands. What's the reason? Because his hands are tamei, touch the bread. Srach too many Gemara said, if you recall that in the Gemara, it might make the bread tamei. So in order to avoid touching hands touching the bread with hands in the tummy, you have to wash your hands first. But what if a person wants to put a cloth, a napkin, or gloves on his hands? Eat with gloves. Still, he's not allowed to. Why? Because you might forget and so on. It is not permissible to eat bread without washing, even though you wear gloves. But if he's on the road and there is no water, then it depends. If he doesn't have water for a distance of 4 miles, that's walking, not riding, and not jet plane, 4 miles. Walking 4 miles and there's no water, then he's allowed to put gloves on, not touch the bread. Allowed to put gloves on, put a napkin around his hand, and eat bread without a napkin. Of course, that's it's a rough head that you get to see that, because you have other food to eat. So you have to have a case, obviously, where there's nothing but bread, and there's 4 miles, there's no water. And that, if we look into this item a little more carefully, you remember that there's a story with Rabbi Yaakov, who was in prison for a trial for life. And of course, the decision was he was condemned. He was sentenced to death by torture. But while he was in prison, during his trial, he was given very little water, very little. Of course, they were afraid. The fools were afraid that he used water to soften the earth in his prison cell in his dungeon and dig a tunnel way out. This was the viciousness, the sadism of his captors. The Gemara says that Talmidim brought water to him. The one time he had a drop of water, and he took the water and he washed his hands. So they said, but you wash your hands with this water. What are you going to have to drink? What will you live on? This is your life water. You have to drink this water. Over there, it wasn't like here. You didn't have forces or anything there. That water was literally his life. So he said, to drink water? Who's going to worry about my body drinking water? My neshama has to obey the mitzvah of the chachamim. There are 630 mitzvahs and 7 mitzvahs of the Rabbah. One of those mitzvahs is the Tikuney Zohar. The Gemara says, who is the rabbi? Of course, it was done before too, because the Gemara says, Aharon also, naturally, Menachem washes his hands. But this mitzvah chachamim, where a person does not do it, and the kiruv said it's chayav misa, how can I forego this mitzvah because I have to drink? And you see that the Gemara cries over this. It says, look at how great the kiruv was, how ashamed we should be of ourselves. Kiruv was in a prison, a dungeon. He barely sustained himself with a drop of water to drink. He sacrificed that drinking water for the sake of washing his hands. This is how important the washing the hands are, so that if there is no water, a person could abstain. The key to abstain from water, we could abstain from bread. In other words, just let it be cake. So a person who finish this very quickly. Hold Halacha, so we can start Sunday on the Siddur. Just 2 very short halachas and we'll finish. I don't want to keep any more. This is the torture of holding it back here. The Gemara says, it says that if a person has 2 brachas he's confronted with, there's 2 brachas confronted with. In other words, he went to the bathroom, middle of eating. Before eating. Went to the bathroom before eating. Came out, he had to wash his hands, but he also has to wash his hands for bread. So what is he supposed to do? Can he wash his hands once and have a mind for both, and so on? But there's a big machlekes in Shulchan about this, different opinions. Of course, this again would be a case where he has just that much water, enough to go. Still, the best advice is, this is what I learned as a child. It's been a Jehovah too, some days. Most days I would say possibly. Kids are possibly this also. Best advice is that you take a little water and wash your hands, wash your outside. Then wash your hands separately for bread. And then combine the 2. Another halacha, which is also, I got more discussion in Shachmarach here, in Shachmarach and Gemara. There's a big taz on this. This is Pesach about you have to wash your hands if there's food, there's fruit, there's water. That's a halacha which is most places say we don't do it anymore. Dipping in water, the food is dipped in water becomes mushal chavruta. You have to wash your hands for it. It's not. The many today is not to do it. Although the many places will squeeze about that. It says when he comes out, he had already washed his hands with a bracha on Tikuney Zohar, and he made the mitzvah. His hands were clean. He also had his hands become tummy. When he become tummy, of course he got to wash them sash yotza. But does he also have to say bracha on Tikuney Zohar? Does he have to wash again? Full washing like for bread. But then it says that he should wash just like for bread, but he should not say the bracha on Tikuney Zohar. Without the bracha on Tikuney Zohar, wash fully the same way. The most posek say that he went to the bathroom fully bowel, then he should say on Tikuney Zohar too. However, there are a few posek who say it not. That's the halacha. The latest posek tend towards the halacha. You'll find many who say no. Anyway, certainly there's no question about it that you're very, very safe. You know, so much halacha. There's enough of a suffix there. But many posek who say definitely you should not. They end up with the chayling, and so in order to be safe, you wash your hands regularly for bread, but you do not say the bracha because I was loving. These are the halachas of washing hands, and we then come to the halachas of making a mitzvah. Seems like a very simple item. Every child knows about it, and yet there is so much to know. Take that next week. We have half a week to cover that. So. What? How you wash your hands, that's not done with a cup. There are some people who will back into the cup. Very few. With a cup, regular, go on done. I see certainly they will do it. If you're allowed to do it without a cup, you usually do it. If you say that every day. So now we have something much bigger to look forward to this morning. We don't want to deviate from our regular meeting. The halacha of Bekas HaMetzih, very brief din. It is a mitzvah to have salt, as we said, for the mitzvah. There are some who are knowing that if you have a table, people, or one says the bracha on mitzvah, he's mitzvah, everyone else. That's done among the tzaddik. It's like it's their custom. They have one says the mitzvah for their life. It's a very good custom, of course. But in either case, when you all make a mitzvah on Halacha Mishnah, Shabbos, then one does the cutting of the challah. Then he hands out the challah to each one. Two dinim are very strict in this case. One thing Gemara said that it's very strictly forbidden to throw challah, toss it. You're not allowed to throw challah bread to anybody. You have to put it down rather than have to throw it. Secondly, if it's a regular piece of challah, the person selling a piece of challah, you can give it to them. But if it's the challah of the mitzvah, you're not allowed to hand it over to a person. You cut a piece of bread say the father of the head of the house cuts a piece of bread for the members of the family, his wife, his children, guests, then cut a piece of challah, put it into the hand of those that he wants to give it to. You must put it down on the table, and they pick it up from the table. One time when you hand challah to a person, that is if a person is in mourning. A person is sitting shiva, Avail, it's the only time you hand the matzah into his hand. Otherwise, you're not allowed to give it to him, put it in his hand. The third case is that it's a mitzvah to make a bracha on bread, a challah, that is more chashuv. So eventually, if you have a whole challah, a whole roll, a whole bagel, or you have a piece, it's naturally mistaken, you should make the bracha on the sholim, the shlemus. That's the Muslim arrangement between the Jews and the Aharon and the Chassidut are broken up. Jews are one, showing the shlemus. That's why Menachem Israel is always to have a whole bread. Like they have sliced bread. You buy sliced bread away. They never have any holes. So because of the chashivas, you make a bracha on what was chashuv. You make a bracha on the whole one, the one which is more chashuv, and also you make a bracha on the part that's most chashuv, which means the part that is baked first. Bracha is made on the part that we have the Gemara, the Mishnah. You recall on the top, the crust of the bread, the part that's baked first, that's the way you make the bracha on, because that shows chashivas to a mitzvah. As we said, the whole thing is a very important mitzvah. We need a lechem, many times it's a Shem Hashem, which is already a combination of the brachas of the Mizuk Gadinim, as we go with the Fedes. These are all Ta'onas that we should be zeichet to have the Pshitas and the Primus. To serve Hashem in everything, even when we do something physically, eat. Eating too, you have to serve Hashem for shlemus. It's supposed to be given Hashem his kabbas and tzadik gibbous, which is out to say this comes later. And dinner of suga, dinner of eating. There are laws about eating too, you have to know. One thing, a person is not supposed to eat and drink as though he's going out of style. He's got to take in the last food there is to grab it quickly. He's supposed to eat in his seats slowly, nicely, pleasantly, politely, above all, with manners. A person should eat with manners at the table and to behave properly. Not to show that he is starving. Like a human being. A person should not eat standing. They should not even drink standing if possible. Your children, your mothers tell you, don't eat while you're standing because the food goes right down to your feet. All the food will settle on the bottom of your feet. Blood will go down to your feet. That's why these Shigonim, the transcendental meditation, they sit the yogi style on their heads. They want the blood to get onto their heads, and it gives them more brains. Right? But these nuts don't realize that they're going the wrong way. The blood got to get onto what they sit on. That's where the brains are. So if they went away straight, they'd have it. Once they raise the shell, that's it. This is a matter of both health and manners. A person should sit while he eats to show that he's not in a hurry, he's not rushing. Done nicely, neatly. He should try to have the table covered nicely, which means either on Shabbos with a tablecloth, or even some people do a week. Also, a weekday tablecloth to show a difference. There are some homes that have weekday tablecloths. Today we have these Omega tops, which are sort of a built-in cloth, but still, this can only serve a purpose for during the week. Shabbos, you must have a tablecloth. Under the challah, above the challah, they cover the second one. A person should not take all a big piece of bread or a big piece of meat and bite pull on it, because that's not manners at all. The Gemara says that Yaakov had a Talmud who was hungry, he took a piece of food on the table, he started to pull on it with both hands. Yaakov said that you're making a mistake, you should use your foot. Put your foot on it, then pull. Meaning, of course, that you know how to behave by the table. person should not drink too quickly at one time. Drinking a large cup down, pause in the middle, it's not going to run away. So you stop for a second, and then you start again. A large cup should be drunk twice. Once, one pause. There are some who have large cups, and they can absorb a lot at one time. In fact, the Aharon tells the story of our son, he visited his father-in-law, he had this story in the Aharon, we see that there are different degrees of drinking, and a person should simply drink with proper manners. It says too that a person animals means when he has cows, cattle, pets. When it comes to feeding time, he must feed his animals first and then himself. First, give animals, and then the achalta. When it comes to drinking, then he should first give to humans, first to people, and then to animals. As Rivka said, well, here's water, you drink, I'll give also your camels a drink. Because first you give water drinking, first people, then animals. Because that's something that's life in a person, stays in a person. Plus, of course, this means animals refer to the amaratz and the arts. It comes to deep tighter, the waters are tighter. Meaning, don't waste time on the amaratz, give it to the main and hunger. Those who want, those who thirst for it. When it comes to feeding, and feed, nation. Karev, first they're thinking within those that are close to sin, we have the Hillel's version of the Chanukah. First you light one candle, that means one very little light. Then you increase, you feed the Torah to the others, the more advanced ones. Arizal says that he once had a dream. Moshe Feinstein came to him and said that he wanted to see vision of the oversegregation of an Yitzchak Yaakov. See them? Sati Esav, the chavruta. Esav is Shin. Shin is the kiruv. Shin, 3 crowns and kiruv. And the Ayin Bay is Bas Ayin and Beis Ayin. Bas Ayin, the eye to be able to see. Kiruv, you'll see it if the Shadcha Be'emtecha. If you get rid of it, discard your animal instincts, which means the appetite, the hunger for food, the animalistic appetite for food. Get rid of your taivas achila, and yourself, and to purify yourself, where you'll have to see the homosexuality. This, of course, is a Arizal figure, which is still yourself to, now in a small way, to purify ourselves, both Benuchnius and Begashmius, and thereby be Behimis, Nivdi Hashem, Behimis, the Zechat to serve, and all seeing, to tie ourselves and see and valorize Mashiach the salvation. Shleimo, and Hey, Amen.